Okay, I see there's one person. Can you hear the sound? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just type yes if you can hear me clearly. If you can hear me, type yes on the chat. If you can hear me, type yes on the chat. Okay, Puleng, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let's just give it a few moments. Let's see, maybe 5 minutes, and then to join us, and then we're gonna start in a few minutes. In a digital world. So before we go into practicals, I have to give you a bit of background, maybe a bit of theory before we go into practicals, so that you get to understand what you will be doing in the practicals. Okay, we're gonna start in a few moments. Okay, I see there's 3 people now, so we're just waiting for a few moments to see who will join us, and we're gonna start. So today we're gonna focus on this protecting sensitive data in a digital world. So this is based on Microsoft Purview. I'll show you what Microsoft Purview is. It's for protecting data. Okay, I think we can start, and then those who join us later, I think they will catch up on this. The video will be live on YouTube. For those who join us a bit later, they can always go and catch up. Okay, I'm going to open the introduction. Actually, let me move here to this one. All right, we're going to focus on the data protection, which is what I specialize in. So I'm going to start on this. Organizations must account for risks. So, whatever data that organizations are working with, if there is a data breach in any organization, that organization will be must account for that data. Meaning that if I give you my data as an organization, you are responsible for managing and protecting and processing that data. So, a lot of risks that organizations face are data breaches from unauthorized access. What is unauthorized access? It's based on attackers exploiting weak passwords. So if your organization has weak passwords, then it's a problem because that means hackers could easily log in and steal the sensitive information. So I'll show you how we set up multi-factor authentication to protect against weak um, authentication. So let me open Microsoft Purview so I can show you a bit of an example of what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to share this tab over here. So this is Microsoft Purview. This is what we use in cybersecurity for data protection, but there are other applications or platforms which could do similar things as well. But Microsoft obviously is used a lot in a lot of companies. So I'm going to click there and then I'm going to share the screen. Okay, let me go back here. I want to show you how to set up multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication with here on identity when you create users. So when we create users, Microsoft requires us to set up multi-factor authentication. You can see where my mouse is right now. It shows authentication methods. And then there's different kinds of methods that you can use. Here's the Microsoft Authenticator. Microsoft Authenticator is the application that you can download, and then you'll get a code when you're logging in on your platforms. Microsoft Authenticator will look like this. Let me show you a screen here. This is the Microsoft Authenticator app. This is what we use for two-factor authentication, right? So this is one of the things that organizations are struggling with, which is data breaches because of unauthorized access. And I just showed you one of the ways that you can limit this unauthorized access, which is MFA. And then social engineering attacks. This is one of the things that organizations are struggling with. Social engineering attacks could be threat actors using phishing. I'll show you what phishing is. Business email compromise. This will also do when we do some practical exercises. You will see exactly what manipulation techniques to trick employees into. So engineering basically is about using tricks or tricking users into exposing sensitive data or giving someone unauthorized access. Now, how do you prevent this? There's different ways. Training, email security controls. We'll do practicals on this training, email security controls, verification processes to prevent help or prevent these attacks. For these exercises, we'll use this. Let me share my screen just to demonstrate. Now, if you want access to this platform here, this is the platform that we're going to use for practical exercises. Now, this platform is not for free, so Microsoft requires us to buy licenses. If you want, you can, I'll share a link, then you can always go to that link and register if you want to. Let me open security, and then I'll show you where we're going to create or how we're going to do email security protections. Okay, email and collaboration, and then attack simulation and training. So this is what we'll be using for training users that users can be aware of social engineering attacks. Let me go back here. I'm going to share the screen. And then the third issue that organizations are facing is data leaks and misconfigurations. Misconfigurations basically means like you buy a company buys a device, but they don't configure it properly. And then that allows attackers to go through that device. Maybe they buy a firewall or they buy a router, but they don't really configure it properly, and then it leaves a backdoor or some ports open, and then attackers are able to go through that device. Okay, now let's see if you guys were able to understand what I was showing you here. Let me see. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So what is the primary method of mitigating the risk of data breaches caused by weak access controls? So what they're asking you here is, how do you protect against weak access controls? How do you protect against weak passwords? That's what they're asking you. So based on these options, which one do you think will be the right answer? You can type your answer there in the chat. Yes, you're correct, Puleng. Correct answer is B. Ne? You enforce strong authentication and the privilege and the principle of least privilege. Okay, let's go to the next one. So here's a scenario. An employee receives an urgent email from a supposed executive asking for sensitive data. Which organizational control is most effective against this specific threat? So what must you do as an employee if you receive a phone call from someone who says they are a manager or an executive, what what do you need to do? So what do you think is the correct answer here? What do you need to do to first before you can assist them? What is the first thing that you need to do? Yes. Yes, correct answer is B. You're correct, Puleng. Okay, let's go back here. So let's look at the risks that organizations are facing. So a lot of the risks are external, but there's also insider risk from employees, contractors, anyone who's inside the organization. External threats are people outside the company, cyber attackers who send phishing emails, who do any malicious activities coming from outside. They'll target the sensitive data, obviously, for financial gain or espionage. And also, organizations do face compliance challenges. So, what does this mean? Compliance. Every organizations must comply with the rules of the country which is based in. So, that's what they mean here. Compliance challenges. So now there's AI. Every organization must make sure that it follows the rules regarding AI. Here's AI security risks. AI is a good tool. It makes people more productive, but AI tools that access or process sensitive data can introduce risks if not properly controlled. And that could put a company under a bad position. You need to be careful when you use AI. Okay, let me do this. Let me share the whole screen. I think that will be better. Okay, let's go to questions. Let's see if you understand what I was sharing with you guys. Okay, number 3. What is the key strategy to prevent unintentional data exposure from improperly configured cloud storage bucket? Okay, we'll come back on this one. I want to show you something first. So when it comes to your screen is clear. Puleng, are you saying that my screen is clear? Are you saying my screen is clear or not clear? Not clear. Okay. Okay, let me try this. Is everyone able to see my screen, or is it just? Can you guys confirm if you are all able to see my screen? Just say yes. Type yes on the chat, or if you're not able to see the screen, then maybe type no. Then I'll know that okay, the problem is on my side. If you can't see my screen clearly, just type no. If you can, then if you are able to see clearly, then just type yes. Okay. Okay, Sarel, you can see. Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, it's now okay. 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 All right. Brilliant. Thank you. All right. Let's continue. Okay, I want to talk about this security and usability. So, security is important, right? Security policies must protect sensitive data, but without disrupting the business operations. So, we need to find a balance between this security and usability. We can't interrupt the business because we want to implement um, security systems. So, we need to ensure we strike a balance. Okay, let's see if you guys will get these questions. So, what do you think is the answer here? What is the key strategy to prevent unintentional data exposure from an improperly configured cloud storage bucket? Let's say a company buys a router or a firewall. What would be the best strategy so that they don't misconfigure that firewall or that router? What do you think would be the answer? What would guide the administrator or the IT administrators? Think about something that guides administrators when they buy new software or new devices. Yes, you're correct, Sarah. No? Correct answer is A. So every company must have a clear data governance policy, conduct regular security audits, but also they must have that guides them in terms of the steps that they must when they procure new devices and softwares. Okay, let's go to zero trust. So protecting data in a zero trust. First of all, what is a zero trust? So zero trust basically means you don't trust anyone, whether they're inside or outside, right? Any device that connects to the network, it must follow the same process. It must be verified. So basically, zero trust verifies every access request, applies least any activities. And for zero trust, this is required. Verification, very important. Always authenticate users and devices, right? Based on identity, sometimes on location, sometimes on the device health and behavior. Okay, let me explain this. Identity just means who are you, your username, your password. Location, where are you? So if a company is based in South Africa, and you are an employee of that company, you decide to travel to another country, to right, to America. If you're trying to log in on company net applications, it's possible that you will be blocked, depending because we have that. Anyone who travels outside the country, they need to inform that they are leaving the country and they are going to access work applications. If they don't inform us as IT, they'll be blocked based on this, on the location. So this has been enabled on the firewall. Sometimes it's we use device health. What does this mean? Your device, before it joins the network, it will be scanned to see if it has any malwares or viruses or anything like that. And then it's clear, then it will be allowed to connect to the network. And also the behavior. So this means if your PC normally downloads 200 megabytes per week or per day, but all of a sudden it's using 8 gigs, then we need to, that means that behavior is suspicious. We need to investigate. Least privilege, this is all about limiting the user to only the data that they require or that is needed. And zero trust requires that you always assume that there's a breach, right? And a breach will happen. It's not a matter of if it will happen, it's a matter of when. Every company will experience some form of breach. Microsoft has experienced it, Amazon, AWS, Netflix, any company, as long as there are human beings, they will experience some form of data breach. So, zero trust will protect sensitive data regardless of where the users are working from or what device they are using. They could be using a device, a laptop, a phone, and how data moves across services. Okay, let's go to some questions. Let's see if you guys understood what I was saying there. Okay, how do DLP or data loss prevention policies and data retention policies work together to protect an organization? So which one do you think is the answer here? What is DLP and how does DLP policies and data retention policies work together to protect an organization? Okay, well, let me go back here. Then I'll make you understand what is DLP. We'll talk about it. We'll come back to that question. Okay, Puleng, you're saying A. Okay, let's go back. DLP prevents data from being shared inappropriately, and retention policies ensure the data is stored for the required amount of time to meet compliance. You are correct. That is correct. Now let's explore further here. Let's talk about this data classification. What is data classification and what does it do? So, data classification helps to identify and organize sensitive data, right? Based on its content and business value. What does this mean exactly? So, think about a company or think about a bank. What would be sensitive data in a bank? Credit cards, credit card numbers, ID numbers, account numbers. Think about a pharmaceutical company. What would be sensitive? What's the most sensitive data in a pharmaceutical company? If somebody steals that data, they would bring that company down. What is that data? In a pharmaceutical company, it will be all those medication or all the formulas for those medication which they manufacture, right? In company like Coca-Cola, all those formulas which they use to manufacture all those drinks, that will be sensitive, right? Because they are business basically. So that's what data classification is all about, to identify the most important data in a company. So once you identify the sensitive data, next step you must assign sensitivity labels. Let me open Microsoft Purview, then you can see how we're gonna or how we do it. Here's Microsoft Purview. I'm gonna click here. Okay, I'm gonna click on information protection. You can see classifiers. So this is what we use for data classification. You'll see when you start doing practicals how it works, how we classify data on this platform. So that's what data classification is all about. And then assigning sensitivity labels. So once we've identified what is sensitive data, the next step would be to assign what we call a sensitivity label. Why do we need to do this? So that you need to know how to handle that data. I'll open, and then I'll open new email. And if you can look at the top right here, there's an open which I can click. And on this option here, it shows these are labels. These are what we call sensitivity labels. What are they used for? This is what we use to label a file or email that is sensitive. So right now, if I'm trying to send a, let's say, a confidential email, I will choose this label. If I'm trying to send an email for the public, meaning it's not sensitive or confidential, basically tells the system how this email or file that I'm sharing. If I choose confidential and then I say trusted people, okay, I'm gonna send this to my Gmail. Then you'll see what's gonna happen. You can see at the top here it shows sensitivity label, confidential, trusted people. So this is just a test, no? Test for confidential label. Okay, I'm gonna send it to my Gmail, and then I'm gonna go to my Gmail, and you'll see how it would look on my Gmail. Okay, let's give it some time to come through. Still loading. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, let's try and refresh again. Let's see. Okay, let's give it some time to come through. Then you'll see how it will look. So that's what labels can do. This is how you identify which data is confidential, public, sensitive, or personal. Let's say when you go into a bookstore, how do you know which books, right? Based on the labels that have been assigned, right? Then you can see it shows, oh, the finance section is that side, nonfiction is that side, based on those labels. So the same thing applies here. Microsoft will know exactly how to protect, or yeah, how to protect these emails or these files based on those labels that we've assigned, these labels here. Okay, let me check if the email has come through. There's the email that I sent earlier with the confidential label. So I'm gonna click on that email. Now you see how it looks on my Gmail. I'm gonna click here, read the message. So before I click on read the message, you can see it shows here messages are protected by Microsoft Purview, Purview message encryption. So I'm gonna click there, read message. Okay, let's give it some time. Okay, let me come back here while it's still loading. Okay, let me go back. Yeah, then it will come to this side. Then it shows here encrypted message. The reason why it shows encrypted message is because of that label. That label protects the message. And then once it gets, then it will come to this screen. Then it will automatically generate a one-time passcode. So I'll go back to my Gmail. Gmail will generate a passcode. Let's refresh. Okay, let's give it a moment. It will generate the passcode. Then I'll enter the passcode here and then I'll continue. Then I'll be able to see the message. Let's see. Refresh. Okay, it's taking some time. Okay, it's fine. Let's go back. Yeah, we'll go back. I'll show you. We'll go back there and then I'll show you. And then when it comes to sensitivity labels, as you can see, I was doing it manually, right? Let's go back here. I was doing it manually, assigning it, choosing the label here. But you can automate this process. This is what we call automated classification. So Microsoft Purview does allow you to automate the process. So it can basically send your email or the content on the email or on the file, then it can know that this file is a public file or general or confidential, or is it highly confidential, or is it sensitive? So you can program it to automatically assign labels. Okay, let's go back here. I want to see if the one-time passcode is there. Refresh. Okay, it's taking a bit of a time. Let's try and this is a private computer. Okay, let me try and get another one-time passcode. Let's see if it will come through. Okay, there it is. I'm going to click there. There's the code. Okay, I'll copy this code and then I'll paste. I'll type the code here. Then I'll say continue. And now you can see that confidential email that I sent with the message that I tapped. And it shows you classified as confidential. And then it shows you here, this message is encrypted. Recipients can't remove encryption. So this is what sensitivity labels can do for you. Okay, let's go back here. So that was data classification. Let's go back to some questions. Let's see if you guys were able to understand what I was just showing you right there. Okay, we'll come back on this one. So that's what sensitivity labels can do for you. They can protect your data. I'm going to open a file. I'm going to show you another demonstration. What's Microsoft Word? Okay, I'm going to open Microsoft Word. I want to show you guys another demonstration here. Okay, Word. I'm just going to create a blank document. I'll just call it test document. And then you can see there's a icon here. I'll click, it shows here sensitivity. This is where you click to assign the label for data classification. I'll click there. Then I'll say, okay, this is very highly confidential. Okay, test document for highly confidential label. Okay, I'll click there. Then I'll come here. I'll say specified people. So basically, if I was sending this to all the employees of the company, I'll just click here, all employees. But I'm going to choose this one. I want to send it to a specified person. Okay, I can't assign it. I need to open Outlook or open Word on a desktop app. Okay, I won't do it from this PC. I don't have Word desktop on this PC. Okay, let's try business contact. Okay. Okay, but you get the concept. This is what it can do. Sensitivity labels. They'll protect your information that you're sharing, whether it's emails, whether it's files. It will encrypt the message. All right, let's move to this section here. So these are the things that sensitivity labels can do for you. Classify and protect data. Labels can be applied automatically or manually. And once they are applied, they can restrict file sharing and enforce access control. be protected from unauthorized access. As you can see, it's encrypted. It shows you. And you can add visual markings. If it's confidential, you can add headers and footers or watermarks to indicate that it's confidential. Okay, let's talk about this data loss prevention. In short, they call it DLP. So what is this DLP? So data loss prevention, basically, you can create policies that can force how the data is going to be used or shared. Remember, organizations, we do share a lot of information internally and externally, right? So we need to create a process or a way of managing that data and protecting it. And that's where DLP comes in. So DLP policies basically will help us to prevent accidental or unauthorized sharing of sensitive information across emails, cloud storage, endpoints, and AI-powered services. I'll go back here on Microsoft Purview. So this is Microsoft Purview. Once you open it, then it comes to this screen. I'll click Home, then I'll come here. As you can see, it shows the data loss prevention. This is what we use to protect accidental sharing of data. I'll click on it. And then I'll click on policies. Right now, there's no policies created. I'll show you how to create policies and why we create policies. So let's go back here. So we create DLP policies to help prevent accidental or unauthorized sharing of sensitive information, right? Across emails, across cloud storage, endpoints, or AI powered services like ChatGPT and others. Okay, let's go back to the questions. Let's see if you guys were able to understand some of the things about security measures in a proactive data protection strategy. So, what's the purpose of protecting against or implementing security measures in AI platforms? What is the goal? What is the point of doing that? What are we trying to protect? What do you think is the answer here? Bulen, you're saying the screen is not clear. Let me. Okay, Sarol, you say B. You're correct. Correct answer is B. To control how sensitive data is used or processed in AI models to prevent unauthorized exposure. Yes. So a lot of companies use ChatGPT and all these platforms, but we need to be careful of what we upload into these platforms. You don't want to upload company sensitive documents into these platforms. So, what is the primary? Let's go to number 6. What is the primary risk of implementing security controls that are too restrictive and difficult for employees to follow? So, when we implement security measures, we also need to watch out that we don't interrupt how users work. So, the security or the risk in being too restrictive is that users will find workarounds and bypass the controls. So if you block ChatGPT on work laptops, users will use it on their own personal phone. If you block WhatsApp on work laptops, users will always find a way to security measures if they are too restrictive, if they can't, especially if they can't do their own work. Okay, what are some potential consequences for an organization that fails to properly manage sensitive data? So what would be, think about regulations, think about compliance, think about all those things. What do you Okay, Sarah, you are correct. Financial and reputational damage, regulatory penalties. Yes, organizations will be fined if they do not put measures to try and protect sensitive data that they work with. So, if you are a company, if you're an insurance company, you collect sensitive data, you collect ID numbers, you collect information about um, my personal life, or who I'm married to, do I have children? All that information is sensitive. You need to have security measures in place. If ever that information gets out or if it leaks from your company, there will be investigations from the regulators. If they do find that you did not take measures to protect that information, you will be fined, you'll get penalties. And of course, there'll be reputational damage. Okay, let me go to the next one. Okay, let me do this before I go to the next one. Since you guys are saying it's not that clear from here, then I'm gonna maybe try and add these questions here, and maybe they'll be more visible, I hope. Okay, this is not gonna work like this. Okay, it's fine. I'll try and fix it. Let's move on. Okay, let's focus on this one. Microsoft Purview encryption. Well, I did show you how the encryption works on emails. When you're sharing that information, you just need to assign a label. And then Microsoft Purview doesn't only work on cloud services. So if you have on-premise server, Microsoft Purview information protection scanner can also discover it does on cloud, on your cloud applications. It can do that on your on-premise service or on-premise server. Okay, let's talk again about this DLP policies, data loss prevention policies. So these ones, they help, like I said, they help prevent accidental and unauthorized sharing of sensitive data. And this is how you do it. Let me open Microsoft Purview. This is where we create policies for DLP policies. And then on policies, you can, do you want to, what kind of content you want to inspect? Is it specific files that are going to a specific destination or are sent, or maybe those files or emails are sent by a specific user? So if I want to protect Excel files that are going to a certain website or to a certain email address, then I'll have to define it here on DLP policies. I can block that here. So DLP evaluates conditions like content type, sharing location, the recipient, meaning where or who the data is being sent to, and whether to allow that data or to block that data. So the company can decide that specific users are not allowed to share certain financial documents. Junior clerks are not allowed to share specific financial documents. So you can set those rules here on DLP policies to say people in this department, they can access those files, but they can't share those files externally or with certain users or they cannot upload it on certain websites. You can do that here. You'll see that when you do some practicals, how this works. And in this, you can protect data across emails, Teams, Meetings, SharePoint, OneDrive, basically all the Microsoft applications. And AI-powered services like Copilot. Basically, you can determine whether users are allowed to upload certain content on AI, Copilot. You can say documents that have specific words are not allowed to be attached, to be uploaded on AI platforms. Insider risk management, this one, it helps to identify unusual behavior from internally, basically. So unusual behavior pattern, bandwidth, you can use insider risk management to try and or is copying a lot of data, things like that. You can see such mass downloads, unusual sharing, or transferring data to unmanaged devices. And insider risk, I'll go here on Purview. I'll show you. There's the insider risk management. This is what we use. Okay, I just have to get the license for this one. I don't have the license for this insider risk management. Okay, let's go to some questions. Let's see. I'm gonna try and make it bigger. Maybe you guys will be able to see. Let me know if it looks better now. Bullying, can you see from now? Can you see? Is it better now? Okay. Let's look at question 8. Which of the following is a core principle of zero trust security model? So what is zero trust? Remember what is zero trust. Which of the following is a core principle of zero trust security model? So zero trust is about not trusting no one, meaning anyone who must log in must verify. So I think I gave you a clue right there. Yes, granting least privilege access and design which can happen. That's correct. Okay, number 9. What is the key benefit of applying a zero trust principle in a modern distributed work environment? So, what's the benefit of applying a zero trust principle, especially when it comes to data protection? Okay, I'll give you a hint. There's the hint. Yes, you're correct, Sarah. It's B. Okay. How does data classification help an organization protect sensitive data? I did show you, I did a demonstration showing you what data classification is and how it works. So, data classification, you are identifying data for what purpose? I can give you a hint. You can type your answer in the chat. Okay. Data classification, it's about identifying data and organizing data based on its business value. So, an example I gave is think about a car manufacturer. What would be the most valuable data for them? It will be the designs of the new cars that they have. So all the documentation that just all the technology that they have regarding their new cars, that will be their most valuable data. If somebody steals that information, if another competitor steals that information and implements that in their business, it will affect that other business, right? So data classification is about that, identifying and organizing data based on its business value. So what are the key steps in data classification process? So what's the first step that you would do? You are correct, Sarel. Identifying sensitive data, assigning labels, and automating the classification process. Yes. So, what is the primary function of sensitivity labels in an organization's data protection strategy? What's the purpose of this? What's the purpose of these labels? Let me go here. These labels here. These are labels. What's the purpose of this? That's what they're asking. What happens when I apply a confidential label to an email or a file? Let's see the answer in the chat. Okay, you are correct, Sarel. Classify and protect data by applying encryption, restricting sharing, and adding visual markings that travel with the document. Like what happened here. Where's my Gmail? Let me open my Gmail. Yeah, this is my Gmail. This is the email that was classified. You can see it's been encrypted and it traveled and it reached my Gmail with the encryption because of the label that was applied. Okay, now what is the primary function of data loss prevention policies? So we just talked about this. No. Yeah. What is the primary function of data loss policies? What will happen when DLP is implemented or DLP policies? What's the main goal of DLP policies? Mobile, you are correct. C, to prevent accidental unauthorized sharing of sensitive data. Yes, Sarah. So this is what DLP looks like. You'll see when we start doing practical exercises how policies work or how they apply, how they affect how you share data. Okay, let's go to number 14. What is the main benefit of using Microsoft Purview message encryption? What happened when I shared that email that had a confidential label when I shared that email to my Gmail account? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it D? I can show you a hint. Okay, Sarol, you are correct. No? It ensures that sensitive emails remain protected even when shared with external recipients. Just like what happened here, right? Yes, that's A. So remember I shared this email from Outlook from my company to an external email, which is Gmail, and it was able to maintain that encryption. And it shows you at the bottom as well, message encryption by Microsoft Office 365. So yes, correct answer is A. Okay, number 15. What is the function of Microsoft Purview Information Protection Scanner? Uh, I'll give you a hint if you're not sure. So think about I gave you a clue. So Microsoft Purview, it works a lot on cloud systems, right? But some organizations have hybrid systems. And then that's where, if you want to enforce data classification and data labeling, then that's where you need Microsoft Purview Information Protection Scanner. And then the answer is this one. If you have both on cloud and on premise servers, and then you want to implement Microsoft, or you want data classification and labeling, then you'll have to make sure that this is enforced. Protection scanner. It will scan the on premise servers to ensure that the data is protected. Okay, how does data loss prevention policies work to protect sensitive data? Okay, we'll come back here. Let's go here. I want to talk about this. Let's talk about security alerts. So DLP will alert you if it detects somebody sharing sensitive data. So also that will depend on how you set up your policies, right? And then it will use alerts. These alerts will be sent to your DLP portal, also to your Outlook. You'll see when you start creating it, how the alerts look like. So these alerts will help you to identify issues, policy violations. This one, let's talk about, has really taken off. AI is a good thing, but risks are associated with AI. And these are the risks. Sensitive information might appear in AI generated responses. So if you know how to use AI properly, you can ask, if you ask the right questions, you can get sensitive information from that, from the platforms. And the prompts submitted to AI models might include sensitive or confidential data. So if you don't know, or if you're using it in a company, it's better to use, it's better if a company has the internal, they create their own internal AI. If they're using a public one, then we need to make sure they manage what is uploaded or prompted onto that AI platform. Because this is one of the risks. AI content might be shared or stored or used without proper controls. So Microsoft Purview can be used to manage what is uploaded into AI. So you can block sensitive data. So if somebody works in a bank, they want to upload an Excel file which has sensitive data, some financial records which are not supposed to be on a public platform. So you can create some policies here to block that kind of information from being uploaded into AI. Okay, let's go back to questions. Let's see if you guys were able to get some of that information. So how does data loss prevention policies work to protect sensitive information? So what does it use? So how does it detect sensitive, or what can you use to make sure that it detects sensitive data? I can give you a hint if you're not sure. Okay, let's see if you'll get it now. Yes, Saro, that's correct. it will evaluate the policy rules. So let's go here. So when you create a policy, DLP policy, you must set the rules. Let me go next. Just to give you guys an example, I'm going to choose finance. This is just a quick example. Let me go custom. Let me go next. Close. Custom next. I want to show you the rules that you can set. Okay, I'll leave it as custom for now. This is just an example. This is where you must give it a name, DLP policy. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as it is now, and then go next. I want to show you the rules. Create or customize advanced DLP rules. This is where you can create your rules. Then I'll click create rule. Then I'll give it a name. I can say monitor. Let's say, or I can say monitor sensitive data uploaded to ChatGPT. This is just an example. Then I'll come here. Content contains. This is where I specify. Let me maximize it a bit, then you can see. So this is where I must specify that what kind of content, maybe content that has specific keywords should not be uploaded onto this AI platform. And then okay, let's say South African identity number. Let's say I don't want users to upload ID numbers onto AI platforms or ChatGPT. And then on actions, this is where I'll choose what must happen. Must this block system? Must it block users, or must it just notify them that they should not? Must it just monitor, or must it block? This is where I can specify the action that must happen. So restrict access. Restrict, this will block. And then if I just say audit, then audit will just audit. It won't block. Then I can decide whether users should get messages when they try to upload ID numbers onto AI platforms. Should they get a notification that this is not allowed? I can add that information here. I can choose on. But you'll see this when we do practicals, how it works. Okay, let's go back to some questions. Number 17, what is the main purpose of insider risk management in an organization? So what is this used for, insider risk? What is insider risk? Remember, when it comes to threats, there are external threats, but there's also internal threats. What would be the best option here? There's the hint if you're not sure. Okay, Cyril, you are correct. It's D. What is the function of the alerts generated by Microsoft Purview? What is the function of these alerts? What does an alert do? This one should be easy. What does an alarm do or an alert? That's what they're asking. This one should be easy to answer. Yes, correct answer is D. No? Okay, after a security alert is generated, what is the key action for security teams to take? So what would be the first step to take once the alarm or the alert, once you received an alert as a security administrator? Okay, Pulling, you're saying D, Ngobile saying D. Okay, correct answer will be this. B, review, investigate first, you know? Review user activities, timeline, and access details to determine if the activity was authorized, accidental, or intentional. Sometimes we can have false alerts, so that's why you have to investigate first. Okay, let's go to number 20. What is the primary security risk posed by the use of AI tools in an organization? So, what is the biggest risk of AI tools in any organization? I'll show you a hint. So, what's the biggest problem regarding AI? What's the biggest security risk? Yes, you guys are correct. No, it's A. Sensitive data could be included in the prompts and appear in generated responses. Yes, yes, that's correct. Okay, the last question. How do DLP policies for AI services help protect against data exposure risks? So, how will DLP policies assist in protecting against um, the risk of AI services? Okay, here's the hint if you're not sure. Okay, correct. It will evaluate the content of the in ChatGPT or your responses. DLP will evaluate all of that based on the DLP policies, based on the rules that you enable here. Then it will be able to determine or to see what you upload, what kind of documents, what kind of information, if you're giving information or sensitive data to ChatGPT. Okay, that was the last question. So, this information, for those of you who are interested, it will help you to, if you want this certificate, for those of you who are interested in this, all this content that I'm doing is part of this Microsoft Certified Information Security Administrator Associate. And then the next thing, or the next time when we meet, you guys must try it also and register. Here on Try Hack Me, we must do some exercises here as well. And then for those of you who want to join, want to do practicals here, you can always send me a message. I'll send you the link. I'll add the link on the description of this video if you're interested, and then you can just register there. But don't forget also to create an account here. There's some exercises that you must do from here. Try Hack Me. And that's the lesson for today. Thank you guys for joining. If you have any questions, you can hit me up TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Send me. I'll leave my email details as well, and my other phone if you want to. And then I'll see you guys every week, Monday and Wednesday, 7:30. So I'll see you guys next week. I hope you have a good evening. Sarah, you're saying, is it possible to get the information you were sharing? Yes, 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 yes. Um, let me type my email, Sarah. Let me know exactly what you are referring to. Then I'll respond to you. No? There's my email, Sarah. Then you can just let me know exactly what information you need, and I will share that with you. Cool. Okay. Thank you, guys. I'll see you again on Monday 7:30.